Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to WDBJ7 Plus. I'm Michaela Shelton. Happy Monday. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Maybe we're able to get out and enjoy it. I know mine was pretty good. Got to see some friends and just relax, do some cleaning, and get ready for the week. So yeah, we've got a lot in store for this WDBJ7 Plus show today. We're of course going to take a look at your First Alert hometown weather forecast in just a little bit to see what we can expect for the week ahead, this work week. See if we're going to check in and see if we're going to have any rain or showers or sun and all of that good stuff. And we're also going to have an exclusive interview here on Plus talking about back to school safety when it comes to keeping electronics safe. And we're going to be talking about college level all the way down to preschool, elementary, and also some safety when it comes to dropping your kids off, picking them up, and getting them on the bus and off safely. But first, we are going to start with your top local headlines for this Monday. And we're starting out talking about I-81. And if your morning commute involves driving on that highway over the next 8 weeks, you might want to leave a little bit earlier. VDOT announced another round of slow rolls because of blasting work near several exits. The construction will be on exits 143 through 150. 81 demo days will be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings through mid-October. This process will officially begin tomorrow. Now, VDOT says law enforcement could completely stop traffic to allow for safe spaces in construction zones. The blasting begins tomorrow, but you might start to see staging for this project beginning today. So make sure you're planning ahead before you hit the road. Well, Roanoke's Berglund Center has served as a cultural hub for decades, but with over $30 million in deferred maintenance, city leaders are looking at what comes next. So our very own Caitlin Kirkpatrick spoke with Roanoke city neighbors on what they're wanting to see for the future of the entertainment district.
For more than half a century, the Berglund Center has welcomed crowds to Roanoke. But behind the scenes, the building is showing its age, with a mounting maintenance bill of at least $30 million. Councilman Fajon Nash recently organized a focus group to address everything from leaky roofs to the center's ultimate purpose.
What's casino or not, it doesn't change the facts. And the facts are old building, needs a lot of work to fix it up, needs a new management style to help us bring in more lively entertainment.
Residents like Michael Cossey say direct investment in fixing up what is already there is the better long-term strategy.
So I know it's a lot of money, but it seems like it's worth it, and you've already got it there, so fix it and use it rather than just have it kind of flounder around.
Tim Falk is another local. He has worked at a casino before and wants the Civic Center to focus on family entertainment.
Yeah, just pure entertainment, but casino, no.
And resident Rebecca Wigman fears the casino option would do more harm than good to the local community.
I don't think a casino would be a really good fit for Roanoke. I think casinos are predatory on lower income individuals and that they take money from the community and instead of investing in the community.
Despite the financial hurdles, Nash remains optimistic that the Berglund Center can be revitalized for generations to come.
But I feel like it can be transformed into something that can do truly what it was designed to do, and that's to be a jewel in our city, to be something that makes Roanoke more livable for citizens.
Councilman Nash says the city continues to welcome ideas from the public as they finalize plans. Reporting in Roanoke, Caitlin Kirkpatrick, WDBJ7.
All right, and we'll keep you updated on that project there. Well, among communities that struggle most is Danville. According to the National Institute on Minority Health and Health Disparities, the city has the 8th highest poverty rate in the state, with just under a quarter of its residents living below the poverty line. One church is working to make a difference through its annual Family and Friends Day. Our very own Connor Arthur explains how a day of family fun can turn into hope for a better tomorrow.
A mission to continue giving back to communities in the River City through food, family, and unity.
Is to be a beacon light for the community as well. And we want to make sure we're causing change and transformation in this community. So we're not just giving away free food, we want to provide job services There's a suicide group that's here. There's a dental office that's here for teeth. There is Project Imagine here. So we have a lot of different things. So the community is impacted in all kinds of ways versus just free food.
Over 100 people came by the Remnant Church of Power on Berryman Avenue in Danville to engage with one another, grab a free plate and some free clothes and other household items, and watch the kids play with a splash pad, bouncy house, and a fire truck tour with the Danville Fire Department. Pastor Antonio Fitzgerald says the gift of giving extends beyond just one annual get-together.
We've seen a lot of changes, and we've tried to make an impact on our community. Every week, every Tuesday, we give away clothes. We walk the streets a lot of times, and we're trying to make sure we keep a positive impact within and relationship with the people that's in our community. So just like people across the street, they watch out for the church all the time. Anybody coming on the property, they look out for it.
Timothy Leftwich with Community Violence Collaborative Project Imagine says events like today allows him to learn from the youth and provide them with resources he didn't have when he was younger.
I understand how individuals that's 12, 13 years old are placed in a role that they're not prepared. They become men of the house because your parents out here doing who knows what. So you have kids that go without eating. You have kids that's actually paying bills. It's a lot. So I've seen that at an early age, and I want to step in and make sure that doesn't happen to the next generation that's coming up.
Reporting in Danville, Connor Arthur, WDBJ7.
Oh, it looks like such a fun event that happened out there. I love seeing the community come together in that way to help others and just provide that positive day of fun for everyone. Well, over in Campbell County, a grant program is helping small businesses get off the ground and allowing others to take the next step forward. It's now entering another application cycle. So our very own Robert Westerman spoke to a business owner who recently received one of those grants and learned more about the difference it's making.
Bringing rustic roots to life wasn't easy.
This is really like my blood, sweat, and tears in this business.
Owner Danielle Torres poured her entire life savings into this building, traveling all across the globe to put these goods on the shelves. Last spring, Torres was awarded a $5,000 grant through Campbell County. The news made all of the effort she put into her application worth it.
I was driving, I had to pull over. I was so excited. It was the best news ever. Like, I worked so hard on all that paperwork, and I worked hard with Stephanie, and there was many nights I was up late, running numbers and trying to figure out, like, is this actually going to work?
The money came from the county's Start Small program. It awards 4 grants per year.
It's a very daunting process to go through because they really want you to think about what your business is going to do for the community, what's it going to do for you.
Nina Rezai is the county's Director of Economic Development and oversees the program. She says its goal is to support startups and new businesses as they get up and running.
That first year of operation, we know businesses are undertaking a lot of brand new overhead, getting the space set up, buying inventory. You're getting your name out there and maybe not profitable in your first month.
Torres says Rustic Roots has become a mainstay in the Alta Vista community. One of the main services offered by Rustic Roots is massages. Clients can come in by appointment or walk-in. Danielle is one of the only dual licensed therapists in the area. Part of the grant process is meeting with the Small Business Development Center in Lynchburg. Stephanie Keener's the director. She's also the one who helped Torres grow Rustic Roots into what it is today.
Local businesses are, it sounds so corny when we say this, but they are truly the backbone of our community.
Torres's message to future business owners: you have to start somewhere.
The biggest downfall for most people that I hear is that everyone's like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week. Like, I'm not big enough, I'm not ready for this. But that first step is the hardest step.
That was Robert Westerman reporting there, and he says applications for the program's current cycle close on October 23rd, and those grants will be awarded the following month. So great to see that program helping small businesses out there in Campbell County. All right, well, half of all teenagers will unfortunately be involved in a car crash before graduating high school. It's a staggering statistic that has parents and safety advocates searching for solutions. But a defensive driving program called Brakes is working to change that, teaching young drivers how to handle real-world emergencies before they happen. And if you remember, we did do an interview with that organization, Brakes, a little while ago here on WDBJ7 Plus, and their event took place this past weekend here in Roanoke. So our very own Caitlin Kirkpatrick shows us what it was all about.
It's a sound and a feeling most drivers hope to never experience. But for these teens, they're getting around the curve. Tara Walters registered her teen in the program. She wanted her child to encounter challenges that go far beyond basic driver's ed.
So I knew there was just some opportunities for the kids to try some different driving styles, or to try the different things they would encounter in the real world that we can't really replicate safely at home.
The program is called Brakes, an acronym standing for Be Responsible and Keep Everybody Safe.
We have different exercises. The one directly behind me is the skid pad. That's where we actually throw them out of control and teach them how to correct, pause, and recover the skid.
Instructor and training manager Roger Campbell says teens go through a gauntlet of real-world exercises. That includes a distraction course, where instructors become extremely obnoxious passengers.
Roll down the back passenger window. Right now, roll down the back passenger window.
Distraction now has become the #1 cause of car crashes in our country. Used to be speeding. Speeding's still #2, but distraction is a big one.
Campbell says most teens arrive not wanting to be there, but after the program of real-world chaos, their attitude transforms, and the numbers prove it works.
Our teens are 64% less likely to have those car crashes.
For Walters, that extra training means peace of mind.
That I feel a lot safer with them driving and out on the road and in parking lots and going places, because they have sort of like that built-in reaction, or they've learned how to do it, so their body, muscle memory or something hopefully can tell them what to do in that situation, and they'll remember what we did here.
And that was Caitlin Kirkpatrick reporting there. We're going to take a look now at a Target 7 report that we have coming up tonight. Virginia has lost more than 100 independent pharmacies since 2019, and the State Board of Health says the growth of pharmacy deserts has become a threat to public health. Brent Foster is the owner of Griever's Drugstore in Chilhowie and president of the Virginia Pharmacy Association. He says many of the state's independent pharmacies are struggling to stay in business because of inadequate reimbursements for the medications they provide.
It's a struggle for independent pharmacies nowadays. Reimbursements are cut down. For example, I did some numbers this morning. So far this month, the prescriptions we have sold there have been $4,000 less than what some of them cost.
Now, the General Assembly has tried to address the problem, but pharmacists say it's too early to tell if reforms will have an effect. Our senior reporter, Joe DeShield, will explore that issue deeper in this week's Target 7, and that's coming up tonight at 6 o'clock on WDBJ7. And of course, you can watch that right here on WDBJ7 Plus. We stream all of our traditional newscasts, and we are always streaming something 24/7 here. So just download that free WDBJ7 app on your smart TV or your phone so you can watch us anytime, anywhere. All right, well, that was a look at some of your top local headlines for today. But don't go anywhere, because coming up after the break, we are going to take a look at your First Alert hometown weather forecast and see what we can expect for the rest of our work week. And then later, we're going to have an exclusive interview giving you some tips and advice from an expert talking about back to school safety, getting your kids to school and picking them up safely, and also recommendations for college students on keeping their possessions safe. So stay with us. We'll have that and much more coming up after the break. Thanks for staying with us here on WDBJ7 Plus. We are now joined by Lainey Pugh. Lainey, happy Monday. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing spectacular. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Just coming off a refreshing weekend,
Right.
ready to hit the ground running this week. And yeah, today, honestly, it was a little cooler outside. I've heard rumblings all around the newsroom of how it's feeling like fall this morning. And yeah, when I checked my phone to see the temperature, I was a little surprised at, I think it was low 60s at the time.
Right.
But then we definitely start to warm up throughout the day. So
We do.
Yeah, good to hear that though.
Yeah, it's going to be that time of the year as we make our way towards the next couple of weeks where it's a little chilly in the morning, so you need the light jacket, and then by the afternoon you just shut it off because you don't need it anymore.
Right.
But this morning definitely did feel a whole lot like fall. So take a look at these overnight lows. These are observations that we saw. So these are basically the temperatures you felt as you walked out the door this morning. So a lot of us in the 50s, some of our West Virginia hometowns even got into the 40s. The areas of higher elevation got a little bit cooler. So again, definitely a refreshing feel as you walked out the door. I know me and my dog were pretty shocked as we walked out the door this morning. We saw pretty conditions, and we are going to continue to see pretty conditions. Here's a look outside our hometowns right now. Whole lot of sunshine, a few passing clouds, but otherwise, again, not going to be seeing any rain today. Going to be seeing very pretty conditions. Temperatures right now starting to warm into those mid and upper 70s for most of us. Still over towards our West Virginia hometowns or portions of the Highlands and the NRV. Some still stuck in the 60s or the low 70s, but you'll warm up as we head towards the afternoon. Lots of sunshine heading our way today. Again, maybe a few passing clouds, but most of us just going to be dealing with an abundance of sunshine. So even though it's going to be a little bit cooler this afternoon in some of our hometowns, that sunshine is going to make it feel a lot comfortable. Speaking of comfortable, the humidity levels, as we make our way throughout the afternoon, they're going to be on the lower side. So a lot like yesterday, we didn't feel that stickiness in the air. That's going to be the same story as we head towards the afternoon today. So going to be a beautiful day to get outside, enjoy it, try to eat lunch outside, go on a walk as you head towards the afternoon hours, maybe when you get home from work. I went ahead and said today was a hometown home run. Again, beautiful conditions, a whole lot of sunshine. Temperatures today, upper 70s for portions of the New River Valley and the Highlands. Other areas are going to be in those low to mid 80s, like areas around the Blue Ridge. If you're towards the south side, you may be in those mid to upper 80s today. But again, low humidity, making it feel very pretty outside. Now, as we head towards tomorrow, going to be a little bit warmer, but we're going to start to see that high pressure that has been bringing us these beautiful conditions start to move to the east. So we'll have a little bit more cloud coverage, but by Wednesday, that's when things are going to start to change just a little bit. We'll introduce some spotty showers in the mix as well. So here's a look at the bigger picture. Again, as we head throughout the day Tuesday, that high pressure, that big blue H, is going to start to move off to the east. So we'll start to have some building cloud coverage as we head towards the afternoon, but notice right behind it, that is a cold front. That cold front will be coming closer to our hometowns as we head towards Wednesday, so supporting the risk of a few spotty showers in the afternoon. Though as we head towards Thursday, that's when that cold front is going to be pushing through our hometown. So we'll be supporting the risk for some scattered to widespread rain and thunderstorms. Some of those storms could have a few gusty winds along with them, as well as some heavy downpours. So something we'll be watching as we head towards late week. Some of those showers may start to linger in towards Friday just a little bit, but overall going to be staying in those mid 80s as we head towards the end of the work week, heading into next weekend. It's going to be beautiful again. Saturday, not supporting a rain chance right now. Sunday, we may have a few spotty showers, but temperatures are going to be right around average for this time of year, sitting in those mid to upper 80s. Overnight lows will start to warm up as we head towards the late week and into next weekend, back into those mid and upper 60s. Also, those humidity levels are going to increase as well. So just get outside the next couple of days, enjoy it while you can. Lots of sunshine, low humidity, and below average temperatures. Tonight, we could see overnight lows back into the 50s. So again, Going to be beautiful if you want to wake up early tomorrow and go for a run. I may dabble in that activity for a little bit.
Oh yeah, love that for you. I
Right.
wish I could be that type of person. That is amazing. But yeah, really can't complain about that forecast at all. I think really the main day to watch out for is Thursday.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to monitor that closely. But yeah, this is really a happy medium for everyone. I think just having, you got the lows in the morning for the people who like it to be on the chillier side, and then, 80s for during the day for those who like the warmth. So
a little bit of everything for everyone.
yes, a good mix. All right. Thank you so much, Lainey. And y'all make sure to check out the First Alert Weather Show today at 1:30 as well, where Lainey and all of our other meteorologists too are going to take a deeper look into the forecast and then have some other cool, fun, exclusive content for you there as well. So Lainey, thank you so much. And for those watching, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we are going to give you some advice on keeping your kids safe as they're heading back to school. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to WDBJ7 Plus. Thanks for staying with us. We are now joined by Morgan Dean with AAA. Morgan, thanks for being here with us today.
It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. We always love to have him on. He just gives great advice when it comes to being out on the roads and things like that. And, right now, back to school season, it is in full effect. Kids are going back to college right now. I know my brother, he just moved in on Thursday at Virginia Tech, and you've got school zones happening. So he's going to be talking to us just about safety in school zones, but also safety when it comes to sending your kids back to school. Maybe they're taking their car on campus for the first time. So we can start there. Just talk about some tips for kids and students who are going back to college when it comes to protecting themselves, whether it's their car or whatever it may be on campus or even getting there.
As you're sending a kid off to college, for many of them, it's the first time that they've ever been off on their own. So it takes just a little bit more planning. For parents, double checking on that homeowner's policy. Many of those policies extend to a student being inside a dorm, living on campus, but you do want to check that policy, see if there are limits on what's covered, just to make sure if they're off campus, investigating that renter's insurance to make sure that they are covered if there's some sort of theft or fire or some other disaster that happens there. But also talking with students about being safe and protecting their valuables. It's very easy in a dorm as you start to make friends and you have that door open and items are sitting there. You trust the people that are around you, but you don't always know who else is in the building and who might be looking for an opportunity. So just a reminder for young people to stay on top of where their expensive items are and to keep them close and to lock that door and make sure that they're secure. On campus as well, that backpack, they're loaded with more electronics than they've ever been loaded with before in the history of mankind. So think about that when we're talking laptops and computers and headphones and all those different kinds of things. So make sure that that is secure. Don't just put it down on a desk near you and then zone out, because that's when somebody could grab that and make off with it. But having that insurance and making sure that you're covered if there is some sort of theft is important as well. For that car, just making sure that you let the insurance company know that this young person's taking that vehicle off to college, and then getting all that routine maintenance done too before they get there. And actually, while they're there, making sure that there is a mechanic shop that they could go to if they do have some problems out at college.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you said about homeowners insurance extending, because I didn't know that. And I don't think many people do, especially if it's your first time dealing with a kid going to school, going to college. So great information there, because I think the dorms also offer renters insurance, which is what I think I did. But very interesting that you can actually check with your parents' homeowners insurance to see if that covers it as well too. That's awesome.
Yeah, but the important thing, I think, just a reminder, don't assume, ask those questions, make sure you've got it locked in. And one other thing to think with that, we're needing the laptops, we need the tablet, we need the cell phone. But if there's some other items that you don't need, expensive jewelry, some other family heirloom that you like to have with you, maybe leave that back home. You just want to make sure it's secure and you're not always in that situation as you're moving off to college with so many people in that building. You want to do your best, make sure that door's locked, but things get forgotten sometimes, and you don't want something that's irreplaceable to disappear.
Right. Yeah, very true. Maybe leave that expensive Christmas gift you got at home. You can, get back to it over the summer or something like that, because dorm life, it can be tough, in and out, people leaving the doors open like you said. So and another thing too, I think, to touch on is passwords, making them pretty strong. I know some schools require super strong passwords, like really long, but I think it just depends from school to school. So I think, like you said, just good to have conversations with students before they head out.
Yeah, you trust but verify. You always want to make sure that you're in good shape. And those passwords is one more way. Be careful about people. A lot of people can be around, see over your shoulder as you're putting information in there. Also, when you go to jump onto a Wi-Fi network, thieves will sometimes set up fake networks that look like university networks and even try and get you to input credentials at a business. Be very, very leery and make sure that you are dialing into the right thing, but also be very, very careful about those passwords. A lot of people like to write them down and stick them in a desk, and that may not be very secure if there's a lot of people coming and going. So don't do that. Make sure you've got those passwords secure and know how to check on things. If something does happen where somebody gets a credit card or logs onto an account and starts to make purchases, young people in college don't have as much of a credit history as someone further down the road might. So regularly checking on those credit cards and those bank statements just to make sure that nothing's happened with them is very, very important, and something they might not think about because it's their first time off on their own. We offer the ability to sign up for Protect My ID, which can help them guard those accounts and be on top of them if there is some unusual activity. And that's a benefit of AAA, so they can check into it if they're on the family plan.
go. Some great protections there. And I think, all of this advice also translates to younger kids too, just having these conversations with them, about staying safe and maybe keeping their valuables at home. And, we've started to see so many high schools, middle schools, elementary schools go back to class already across our hometowns. And you're starting to see, more of those school zones activated over the summer. You're not even paying attention. You don't have to worry about it. But now you'll see the lights flashing between those, school start times. So what are some recommendations you have, as far as when it comes to going through them, but also maybe dropping your kids off, picking your kids up from school?
Yeah, we need to change our mindset. During the summertime, you're right, the schools are empty. There's no one on those streets around them. And now we're going to go to a big change where there's going to be kids, there's going to be parents dropping them off, there's going to be pedestrians, there's going to be cyclists, and there's going to be school buses out there. And that can change what it looks like for the morning commute. I know for me, if I'm going out in the mornings, there can be a difference of 20 minutes if I wait 5 minutes or go 5 minutes earlier sometimes, just with all the school buses in the different neighborhoods. So drivers need to be on top of that, and they need to start focusing. We hope they're doing this all the time, but especially as we're talking about kids back at bus stops, crossing roads as they're walking to school, be very, very focused and on the lookout for pedestrians. Having those speeds down is very, very important, and not having that phone distracting them at all, avoiding and limiting all those distractions is very, very important on making sure that we can see these kids and recognize when school buses are stopping in front of us, because we want to give them all that space for those students to be safe. For those parents that are doing the drop-off, giving themselves that extra time and following the rules and understanding that the rules may have changed from a year earlier. So don't just assume I go and do this and stop here. Maybe that's not what they're doing this year because they've added some volume to it, or they've changed the way that they're doing it to try and get more kids through quicker. So make sure you're following the new rules for the year as you're doing that. But don't forget, when you're doing parent drop-off, you're crossing through a lot of these school zones. You're going to be next to school buses. There's going to be kids crossing the road potentially where you're stopped trying to get into the school parking lot. So again, being on the lookout for those kids. They can be small, especially if they're in those crosswalk zones. It can be hard to see them. So double checking before you're moving through some of those zones can be so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned, there could be a lot of changes too. Just make sure to pay attention to that, and also have those conversations with the little ones. Like you said, keep your phone out of your hands if you're sending them to school with the phone. Just keep your eyes ahead of you, and that goes for them when dropping them off, but also for drivers too. Just being extra cautious and safe, when you're going through. And also I see, you could also park as close to the sidewalk for the kids and get them to kind of maybe go out on that side of the vehicle and get out so that they're not having to walk around too, if they're a car rider.
Yeah, that's really, really important. Opening that door on the curbside, telling them not to get out on the other side. You just never know if another driver is going to try and go around you, or if a school bus could be pulling into that same zone. And one thing with talking with your students about things is showing them how to do it. It's a great time right now to take and run that and show them where they're going to be and where they're going to get off and how they need to do it. The same thing for those that are going to be riding the school bus. Take that walk down the street with them, show them where the bus stop is going to be, and explain to them why it's so important that they stay back away from that roadway and they avoid horseplay and goofing around with their friends. We know kids want to play, and sometimes they forget as they're jumping around with their friends right there that they're standing next to a roadway where there is traffic out there. So talking with the young ones about that and just getting them into that mode, especially if they're kindergartners, it's a whole new experience for them. So really doing that walk, if there's the opportunity to take a practice school bus ride with them, that's a great thing to do too, just so they have a good feel for how it's all going to work. There's going to be helpers there to help them, but you want them to be an active participant in it as well and understand what's happening and knowing the right things that they can do to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think All of that is so important, especially with everyone going back to school. It is new routines, maybe even new schools this year if you're going from elementary to middle, and even new drivers on the road. I think this advice can translate to them too, you know, those 16-year-olds, junior year, senior year, who are first drivers and getting on the road for the first time. So Morgan, thank you so much for coming on and giving this great advice as we head back to school across our hometowns. And hey, for those watching, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more WDBJ 7 Plus after this. Welcome back to WDBJ 7 Plus. I'm Michaela Shelton. We're going to take a look at some more hometown stories for you now. A Roanoke native who dedicated his life to helping students get into historically black colleges and universities was laid to rest over the weekend. Robert Mason Jr. founded the Common Black College Application, a portal that lets students apply to more than 50 HBCUs with just one application. WDBJ7's Connor Arthur was at Pilgrim Baptist Church where friends and family shared the legacy Mason leaves behind.
Did you know you can apply to over 50 historically black colleges and universities at the same time for only $20? You can with the Common Black College Application.
A creative mind who strived to see kids pursue higher education, known by many as a loving colleague, brother, son, and friend.
Everyone comes into your life as a blessing or a lesson, and for me, he has been a blessing and he has taught me so many lessons.
Robert Mason Jr. grew up in Roanoke, going to Patrick Henry High School. He started his college studies at Virginia State University, graduating in 1984, and later earning his master's in public administration at Clark Atlanta University in 1990. A colleague of Mason, Tanya Cobb, says the idea of starting the Common Black College Application came from the pride he had for his alma maters.
He knew that colleges and universities, HBCUs in particular, were having difficult times getting recruiters on the road because of budgets. He also knew that students themselves were having a difficult time paying their college application fees. And so he really said, you know what if I had, one application where students can apply to multiple HBCUs?
Mason's brother, Todd Mason, shared a poem during today's celebration of life.
Every great thing you achieve, and I'll remember something similar. A big brother I loved and still believe. Rest easy now, big brother. Your work on earth is through. And don't worry about mama. I'll take it from here for you.
Robert Mason's legacy continues to live on through stories and the effort to provide all students the chance to make an everlasting impact.
It is that mindset that you need to be great. It has to be intentional. You have to dare to be different.
Reporting in Roanoke, Connor Arthur, WDBJ7.
Well, 15 years ago this week, people up and down the East Coast felt the ground shake beneath their feet. A 5.8 magnitude earthquake was centered here in Virginia, the second strongest ever recorded in the Commonwealth. In this week's visit to the WDBJ7 archive, our senior reporter Joe DeShield takes us back to relive the quake's impact and the reaction from people across the state.
Where were you when the earthquake hit? We have extensive coverage of this afternoon's shaking.
It was Tuesday, August 23rd, 2011 at 1:51 in the afternoon.
The rocks moved a little bit. Within seconds, everybody felt it from Georgia to almost Canada.
Yeah, into Canada,
It was crazy.
The epicenter was located near Mineral in Louisa County. A security camera in a grocery store showed us what happened there.
This is a pretty big earthquake on a scale of something that some people may have never experienced in their whole lifetime here.
Absolutely. This is the largest earthquake that has been recorded in Virginia for over a century. There was a similar sized earthquake in the late 1800s, 1897. We've not felt anything this big in a while.
In downtown Roanoke, office workers evacuated.
We were upstairs in the building, and suddenly the floor began to shake. I was walking around the office at that moment and kind of got off balance and realized it was an earthquake.
There was an initial jolt, and then it started to shake more steadily, and I asked one of my coworkers if they felt it, and they were standing, and they felt still for a little bit, and the coat rack started to sway back and forth, and the computer started to shake.
I looked across the street at the Franklin Square building and seen the building actually moving, so I knew something was up. So we evacuated the building just as a precaution.
And schools in the Roanoke Valley sent their students outside.
We had somebody go in and check all the buildings. They were checking ceilings, tiles, all those kinds of things to make sure that structurally the building was safe before the students went back in.
Soon we started to receive reports of damage.
As soon as the earthquake happened, my phone in the Lynchburg newsroom just lit up. People were calling to tell us about what they felt and some of the damage that they had. And
Reporter Tim Saunders spoke with one person who found a fresh crack in her basement floor after the shaking stopped. But the damage was much worse in other areas. One day after the earthquake, Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell visited Mineral, where 2 schools were damaged beyond repair and hundreds of homes were affected as well.
We lost personal things, but my neighbor next door, both his chimneys are tore up, and there's no, the insurance doesn't cover that because we don't get earthquakes.
Repair bills would also pile up in the nation's capital, where damages to Washington National Cathedral cost $38 million. The Washington Monument closed after cracks were discovered there, and those repairs would require $15 million. In total, the Virginia Department of Energy says damages from the earthquake reached $300 million. But it's also remembered for one powerful positive: no one died. In Roanoke, Joe DeShield, WDBJ7.
Yeah, I'll never forget that either. I was in 5th grade and in the school, and we felt it, but it wasn't as strong as some of our other areas across Virginia felt it. But yeah, I think everyone looking back remembers that one. But like Joe said, it's a good thing that no one was hurt during that incident there. Well, in 1986, Oprah Winfrey launched her national talk show. Top Gun flew into theaters, and Jack Nicklaus won his 18th major championship on the golf course. And that same year, 5 people walked into a grocery store for very different reasons. In this heart of our hometowns, Logan Sherrill travels to Danville to tell us how they're still there 40 years later.
The average American sours on their job every 4 years, meaning they'll change jobs at least a dozen times throughout their life. But like pure honey that never goes bad, every so often you run into a lifer.
1986.
I started off as a bagger.
I've been here 40 years.
40 years.
40 years.
At Food Lion in Danville, you'll find at least 5. Meet Robert Pruitt, Ray Bartley, Amanda Barnhart, Ella Inge, and Kay Witt. All 5 walked into a grocery store in 1986 with different motivations.
I was going to go to college and figure out what I wanted to do, but I didn't think it was going to be in retail. A part-time job to help my daughters go to college. I was getting ready to get married and start a family, so I needed a job with insurance.
I was just needing some money, had no idea that it was a part-time gig.
Worked part-time for about a year, and then I graduated from high school and then got a full-time job and been here ever since.
They've worked just about every aisle.
I've done everything in the store except cut meat and work in the office. Grocery, dairy, frozen food, and produce.
Seen stores go from analog to digital.
Technology has advanced so much from where it was when I first started.
Some of it I do miss, some of the older ways. That's just because I don't like change a whole lot.
Oh, I like the new school. I like that, Mom, when you put the money in it, it goes.
Decades of checkout line small talk.
He came to me and he said, I hope you don't get upset, but I know you of a particular age. Have you ever heard of molasses? And I said, yeah, who hadn't heard of molasses? Well, I asked several others and they said, what is that? But I told him, I said, I'm old school, so a lot of young people don't know what molasses, what is that?
And a few misconceptions about how the food makes it onto the shelves.
Pick it off a tree or get the milk from a cow, you know, but it don't work that way. It's a lot different.
What blends these 5 together are the people.
I've just enjoyed it, you know, meeting people and all the customers and everything.
Because you get to know a lot of them.
For some folks, we may be their only human impact that day, that week, especially some of the elderly folks.
Some people come in and say, I live by myself and I only get to talk to people when I come in the grocery store. Oh, I look forward to seeing you. You always smiling. It makes you feel good. Loyalty or craziness, one. I think it's more loyalty and how good the company treats you.
For Amanda, her colleagues were there for her through the difficult losses of both her mother and her daughter.
My second family.
Together for the hard times and the good times, like family.
They become family to you, you know. And then when they retire or leave before you do, then it seems like you got a part of you missing.
It was 2 little girls that I worked with there, and we would go out to lunch together sometime, and they both passed away now, but we became lifelong friends.
I hired a lady one time. I hired her daughter, and she met her future husband there. They had a kid, and I ended up hiring the kid probably about 2 years ago when he turned 16.
It's just been fun to work with everybody. We look out for each other.
And stocking the next generation with plenty of wisdom.
They come to me sometime with their little personal life stories about their love life. And I said, well, I'm not all that good on love life, but I can tell you about real life.
Start your 401k early, especially if a company matches.
As for when they plan to clock out, that's still up for debate.
When are you going to retire? I said, next year. They said, didn't you say that last year?
I'm 57 now, so I got about 7, 8 more years to go.
I'm actually planning on retiring in 3 years.
But they can all agree, walking into that grocery store in 1986 was the best thing they ever did for their families.
One is a dialysis nurse at Washington Hospital Center, and the other one works for the government in Chesapeake. So they finished college, and that was good. So I accomplished my goal.
It's kept a roof over my head and kept my family, satisfied for many years.
Paid the bills, and I've had a good career here with this company.
So long treats us really good. I love my job.
A job as sweet as honey that never goes bad. In Danville, I'm Logan Sherrill, sharing this heart of our hometowns.
Wow, that's what you call dedication right there. It is not every day where you find someone who's been with a company for 40 years and much less 5 doing the same exact thing. So yeah, great to see that they're out in Danville. You just never know what kind of amazing stories you're gonna find. All right, well, that was a look at some of our recent hometown stories that we've been doing. But stay with us, because after the break, we're gonna take a look at some health news for you and give an update to a case that's nearly a decade old, and trial starts this week. So stay with us. We'll be back with that and more after the break. Thanks for staying with us here on WDBJ 7 Plus. We're going to take a look at some health headlines for you now. Take precaution. COVID-19 is spreading at high rates in every state, and most young adults have heart and kidney issues and don't even know it. Our very own Amir Massenberg has those stories and more in this Hometown Health.
COVID is making a summer comeback even before the traditional respiratory virus season begins. CDC data shows the national COVID test positivity rate topped 3% for the first time since March, with numbers rising in every state. Experts say the South and West are leading that current wave. Flu and RSV activity remain low, and COVID hospitalizations and deaths are also low, but experts predict cases will keep climbing as summer travel continues, schools reopened, and immunity from previous vaccination or infection wanes. Health experts recommend testing if you develop symptoms and staying home while you're sick. And nearly 8 out of 10 young adults have cardiovascular kidney metabolic syndrome. Research published by the American Heart Association showed some young adults have early signs of arterial injury, which raises the risk of heart attack and stroke later in life. Researchers say heart disease prevention efforts should start earlier in life. And researchers are learning more about why vaccine effectiveness varies from person to person. An Arizona State University study found some people have higher levels of certain antibodies, which means their immune systems respond better to vaccine than others. The findings show with testing, doctors could possibly predict who's more likely to respond well to a vaccine. For your Hometown Health, I'm Amir Massenberg.
The murder trial for the death of a Halifax County woman begins today, more than 9 years after her disappearance. Emma Compton Lane went missing in June of 2017. A few months later, hunters found her body in the woods near her home in Halifax County. It wasn't until 2024 that her husband, Russell Lane, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder in connection to her death. We actually spoke with Emma's sister back in 2023, who said she will never stop seeking justice. Now, Russell Lane will face an 8-day jury trial starting today, and we will have an update on day one of the trial in our later shows, so stay with us on air and online throughout the evening as we bring you the latest on that. I also want to give you a reminder about our upcoming blood drive here at the station. We are hosting this on Wednesday from noon to 6 o'clock p.m., so just scan that QR code there and you can sign up if you'd like to donate blood. We're doing this to help out the American Red Cross, so we hope to get a lot of people signed up and to see people come out to donate some blood. So yeah, thank y'all so much for being here with us for our WDBJ 7 Plus show. That's about all the time we have for today, but make sure to stick around because we've got our noon newscast coming up here in just a few minutes. And yeah, we will be right back here tomorrow. We do this every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. So I will see y'all then. But for now, I hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Thank you so much for watching.